After the Reformation, about 200 years ago, a new change happened in culture called the Enlightenment. Reason and intelligence was most important. People chose a variety of ways to worship. With different styles of buildings. Some people didn't like the old church designs. Some people invented round or oval churches or worship areas that were cross-shaped. Some brought the altar close to the people, and they used it as a place to pile their coats. One influential architect, Christopher Wren, designed 50 churches. His ideas continue today. His churches had altars and pulpits close to the people. The organ and the choir were in the west end gallery. The baptismal font was near the west entrance. Other people designing churches during that time had very plain meeting halls with white walls and no art, nothing fancy. They had only a pulpit, only once in a while. They celebrated baptism and Lord's Supper. This confusing time led to many variety ways of worship buildings. I will explain 2 examples. First, the revival church buildings. Some church leaders believe 2 things. 1, everyone needs to hear and see sermon and the liturgy. Second, preaching is most important. Their buildings were large halls. They used very emotional preaching, encouraged a person to make their own decision for God, and played exciting music to change people's hearts. The organ and the choir were set behind the preacher, and the people were able to watch dancing and drama. Worship became something exciting and enjoyable to watch. Compare the old church style of the Middle Ages, when congregations watched only the clergy do worship. Second, the new Gothic buildings. Other church leaders understood that the church building should be beautiful and inspiring. They copied many of the worst ideas of the old-fashioned churches, like a separate nave and chancel. They separated the worship leaders from the congregation, sitting far away. With long, narrow buildings and a narrow chancel. They forgot it's truly important for people to see and hear and join in the liturgy. A new beginning. Some church leaders now are trying new and different styles of church buildings to help people worship better. They use large rectangular halls with white walls. They use chairs that the people can move from different worship times and plans. Often the altar sits in the middle with chairs arranged on 3 sides. This is more flexible and simple. In that kind of church, people can worship actively for the liturgy of God's Word, baptism, and the Lord's Supper. In your book, Where We Worship, look at the drawing and pictures on page 16 and 17. Now, in your book, Worship is Celebrating as Lutherans, answer the questions on page 54 through 59 and discuss them with your mentor.